media machine's psychological manipulation efforts would become more coordinated and overt than ever before.
I say this out of a firm concern for the future of my children and my grandchildren. Donald Trump cannot become our commander-in-chief.
As much as they hated him, Donald Trump would actually improve cable television's dismal ratings.
But they can make anything bad because they are the fake, disgusting news.
First, they claimed that he mocked a disabled reporter.
Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you gotta see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. Oh, I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Oh, maybe that's what I said. This is 14 years ago. They didn't do a retraction. 14 years ago, they did no retraction. I mentioned the word regulator. These guys come in, they run the banks. And I watched a general recently on television, and they said to him, what do you think about ISIS? Oh, ISIS is very tough. They said, Senator Cruz, what do you think of waterboarding? I don't want to talk about it.
They tried to convince the public that he was a racist, that he called white supremacists very fine people, while taking a speech out of context, a lie they've relied on heavily for years and continue to propagate in the current election cycle.
What bothered you most about his comments on Charlottesville?
Oh, the good people on both sides.
Okay, so like yeah. Charlottesville, like an example, fine people on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was, to me, was kind of a unnecessary comment. And I think just knowing how, if you're so against the media, then why give them something to look for?
Right. Why not just say clearly white supremacists, they should be condemned totally.
Yeah, exactly.
To make sure we're talking about the same thing, this was Charlottesville, yes. Right? You have the first.
Yep. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits and with the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group too.
While the mainstream media was building the narrative that Trump was a dangerous white nationalist, he was busy signing multiple bills designed to help marginalized communities.
This is history. This is history. Right now you're witnessing history on the floor of the U.S. Senate.
He signed the groundbreaking First Step Act, a criminal justice bill which enacted reforms that make our justice system fairer and help former inmates successfully reintegrate into society.
Hakeem Jeffries on the left, Jared Kushner, and Donald Trump on the right have brought together a coalition like I've never seen.
He also increased funding for historically black colleges and universities by more than 14%.
Now, as of tonight, we can verify the online rumor is true. President Trump has pushed more federal dollars toward historically black colleges and universities than any of his predecessors.
Instead of meaningless pandering to the gay community, he would appoint 5 openly gay ambassadors and initiated an effort to end criminalization of homosexuality globally.
As your president, I will do everything in my power to protect our LGBTQ citizens from the violence and oppression of a hateful foreign ideology. Believe me.
Trump even signed 3 bills in support of tribal sovereignty. One bill gave compensation to the Spokane tribe for the loss of their lands in the mid-1900s. Another reauthorized funding for native language programs, and a third bill giving federal recognition to the Little Shell tribe of Chippewa Indians in Montana.
Over the last 4 years, I created a nationwide task force to combat the crisis of missing and murdered Native Americans, especially women and children.
There was the lie about Trump's Muslim ban.
This was not a Muslim ban. This policy was the result of a careful global interagency analysis of vetting procedures for travelers to the US from Libya, Syria, Somalia, Yemen, and Iran.
And the infamous kids in cages lie, where they tried to blame Trump for an Obama-era policy on the southern border.
They were built by President Obama's administration, not by Trump. President Obama had child separation. Take a look. The press knows it, you know it, we all know it. I'm the one that stopped it.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez even used this false story as the backdrop for an opportunistic photo shoot. But when the number of migrant children sleeping in cages dramatically spiked under Joe Biden's watch, the media and AOC suddenly lost interest.
So you worked for the commissioner, your senior advisor. You were hired 2 weeks ago, and you're instructed to ask us to not have any pictures taken here.
Please respect the people,
because the political
rules.
Leadership at DHS does not want the American people to know it.
Please respect the rules,
You keep
sir.
standing in front of the pictures, so
Please
you don't want the
respect the
pictures
rules.
taken. The rules are arbitrary, and
Please
they're designed to keep the American people in the dark.
dignity and respect.
The selective outrage and fabrications were not the result of mere incompetence. This was the mainstream media knowingly acting in bad faith. It happened again with Trump's decision to withdraw troops from Syria, a move decried by establishment neocons and subsequently criticized in the media. ABC's World News Tonight drummed up a story about how the Turkish military ruthlessly slaughtered Kurds as a direct result of Donald Trump's decision to withdraw, using shocking footage of heavy machine gun fire. But it didn't take long for citizen journalists in the independent media to ascertain the true source of the footage: a popular semi-annual night shoot at a Kentucky gun range. The media chastised the president for suggesting that the coronavirus originated from a lab in Wuhan, China, only to quietly change their position once Trump was out of office.
Why do you keep using this? A lot
Because
of
it
people
comes
say
from
it's
China.
racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate.
But the most famous and damaging lie from the early Trump era was the Russian collusion hoax, born of the infamous Steele dossier that dominated the airwaves for years.
This week, we saw cold, hard evidence of the Trump campaign, indeed the Trump family, eagerly intending to collude possibly with Russia, a hostile foreign power, to influence American elections.
Hillary Clinton on the stump this week. We're joined now by her campaign manager, Robbie Mook. Thank you for joining us this morning.
The hand of the Kremlin has been at work in this campaign for some time. It's clear that they are supporting Donald Trump. But we now need Donald Trump to explain to us the extent to which the hand of the Kremlin is at the core of his own campaign. And there are real questions being raised about whether Donald Trump himself is just a puppet for the Kremlin in this race.
You're saying Donald Trump is a puppet for the Kremlin?
Well, real questions are being raised about that.
Corporate journos at the New York Times and the Washington Post were adorned with Pulitzers, and an expensive multi-year-long investigation began. Robert Mueller was billed in the media as an old-school, hard-nosed FBI agent who only dealt in facts, and was sure to prove without a doubt that Donald Trump had colluded with Russia.
But this is what the end result is. This was an attempted coup. This was an attempted takedown of a president. And we beat them. We beat them.